Hi, my name is Trisha O'Neill, and I will be presenting a series of product tutorials for the Vscan with Dual Probe. The Vscan with Dual Probe is the first of its kind single probe solution supporting two transducers. Here you'll see we have the deep or the phased array ultrasound transducer. The deep probe provides an imaging frequency between 1.8 and 3.8 megahertz. The depth for the scanning for the phased array is between 6 and 24 centimeters. The linear or the shallow imaging end of the transducer supports a broad bandwidth frequency range of 4 to 8 megahertz, as well as an imaging depth up to 8 centimeters. You'll see for both the phased and the linear transducers that they're very small apertures that enable imaging in very tight spaces, such as intercostal or behind a leg for a lower extremity evaluation. There's also an LED indicator for both transducers that lets you know which end of the probe is activated. A quick introduction to the general user interface for the Vscan with Dual Probe. The boot up time is approximately 25 seconds, and when active, the Vscan with Dual Probe supports approximately 60 minutes of continuous scanning. There's also two modes available. You have the color flow and black and white mode, and then you have an additional menu for some customizations. Let's take a look at the deep transducer's general user interface. The Vscan with Dual Probe automatically boots to black and white imaging. Here, the black wheel in a clockwise motion increases the gain, counterclockwise decreases the gain. The up and down arrows support the depth mode. So by pressing the depth arrow, you can see the adjustment displayed on the screen. Over here we have color flow mode. Pressing color activates color, and then the arrows will enable you to pan the color region of interest as necessary. Let's take a look at the shallow transducer's general user interface. The probe will automatically activate to black and white scanning. The black wheel in a clockwise motion will serve as the gain increase for this transducer. Counterclockwise will decrease the gain. The up and down arrows support the depth function. Here I'll press the down arrow and you'll see a response displayed on the monitor. Color is available. By pressing color, the color region of interest will appear. The color region of interest has been maximized to take up the entire image to reduce keystrokes. By pressing the right and left arrows, the user has the ability to steer the color box during the Vscan exam. While active in color flow, the black wheel serves as the color gain. Clockwise motion increases the color gain, counterclockwise decreases color gain. This tutorial will cover the general monitor display of the Vscan with Dual Probe. As you can see, the majority of the Vscan monitor display has been optimized to show the clinical information. Right here in yellow, next to the clinical image, you see the depth display, including the depth markers. The top of the image is where the textual information that will be displayed, and it's been maximized so that the least amount of information is seen. Importantly, we use the number sign to indicate the Vscan automated exam number that's created every time the device is activated. Next to the sector, we see a pictogram of a heart. This serves two functions. It helps the user understand the active preset, which happens to be cardiac, as well as the beam orientation for the transducer. This tutorial will cover the Vscan with Dual Probe's general menu. As you can see, there's a single button solution for the ability of a user to customize some further settings. By pressing menu, a wheel appears on the monitor with several choices. Closest to me, you can see the new exam function. The Vscan automatically generates a new exam ID each time it's turned on. However, the user has the flexibility to manually create a new Vscan exam. As I use the arrows to scroll over the wheel, you see I have access to my distance measurement, The next item is presets as well as changing transducers. The gallery function supports the image archive and clinical images that are stored on the Vscan device. And finally, config. The configuration supports a couple of key features such as language, date and time, and creating a default preset. Let's take a look at the Vscan with dual probes presets, as well as how to change the transducers. By pressing Menu, you have access to the active transducers presets. By pressing the Select key, the active probes presets automatically display. The current transducer that's active is the linear. Here you will see that there's a soft tissue, vascular, as well as a lung preset available. Closest to me, you will see that there's the phased array option. This is how you switch over to the deep scanning transducer. By selecting that option, the presets available for that transducer automatically appear. You will have access to a lung preset, the cardiac preset, the abdomen preset, as well as OB. There are a few key items that can be customized or configured for your Vscan with dual probe device. To access config, using the menu function, select config, you'll see some options including brightness as well as setup. By entering setup, you will have access to these items such as language, date format. So for example, I'm just using the arrow keys to highlight the selected feature that I want to customize. Once that's highlighted, press select, and the options will appear that you can select. Once selected, you'll see your choice displayed. Another important item is the auto freeze for the imaging transducer. This can be configured according to your preference. Next, setting the current preset for the probe. Once you highlight and select this option, the device will remind you, do you want to set the current preset as a default? So for example, we were last imaging using the vascular preset. If I would like the device to automatically boot using that preset, select OK. Let's walk through a basic distance measurement on the Vscan with dual probe device. Distance measurements are available for both the deep scanning transducer as well as the linear scanning transducer. To enter the measurement package, simply press Menu and then use the arrows to scroll over to highlight the distance icon displayed on the wheel. By selecting that icon, a green caliper automatically displays on the monitor. Using the arrows on the navigation wheel, you can press and hold or individually click the arrows to place the initial caliper. Press select to anchor that caliper and then return to using the arrows to place the second caliper. You will see that this radius display appears. The intention is to reduce keystrokes so that any distance along that radius would be the same as the number displayed. However, if you want to anchor that caliper, the radius disappears and then a second green caliper appears. This second caliper can be placed using the arrows, just like we did for the first caliper. To move the caliper along the radius, continue to use the up and down arrows. Select to anchor. Up to 8 measurements can be performed on a Vscan image. Let's walk through how to store clinical information on the Vscan device, as well as how to access it in the image gallery. When live scanning, the user has the ability to store loops, still frames, as well as a voice recording. Here, the linear transducer is active. If I press the store key while live scanning, a video will be stored to the archive. For non-cardiac applications, the respective store time can be defaulted anywhere between 1, 3, and 6 seconds. Here, that cycle was stored. If I choose to freeze and then store, that single frame will be stored. To access the voice recording, press and hold the store key, and the icon will appear at the bottom of the screen indicating that a voice recording is being stored. Press any key to stop the recording. To access the gallery and where these files have been stored, press Menu and select Gallery. At the top of the screen, you will see the exam IDs that contain clinical information on the Vscan with dual probe device. Using the arrows, you can scroll these exams. An automation feature of the Vscan with dual probe device is that any exams that have been created that do not contain images, they will automatically be removed from the gallery so that you don't have to filter through empty exam IDs. Going back to the exam with which we just stored the images, you will see that we have the video displayed with the video icon, the still frame, and the voice recording. Using the navigation wheel, simply highlight the respective image that you wish to look at. The Vscan with dual probe device comes with its own PC software, which provides a gateway between Vscan, customers' PC tools, and GE's service hotline. The gateway is storing Vscan data, which can be viewed and interpreted on the user's PC. This includes basic distance and area measurements. Images with those measurements can be stored back onto the device into the original exam folder. Offline adjustment of contrast and brightness settings are available. And you also have the ability to adjust the patient data, including patient name, ID, birth date, and comments. You have the ability to annotate each clinical image, and there's video controls for the clips, such as play and pause, or back and forward stepping. The Vscan with Gateway can also play back the recorded audio files. Let's review how to clean and disinfect the Vscan with dual probe device. The first step before cleaning the device is to enter Menu and Config to fully shut down the device. By pressing Menu and scrolling over to Config, you see Shutdown is an option closest to me. Selecting Shutdown will help the system completely shut down. Close the device. To clean the device, find a soft, non-abrasive cloth and using a general or mild purpose non-abrasive cleaning material, completely cover and wipe around the device. You can use another soft towel to dry off afterwards. Now let's discuss disinfecting the probe or the device. Access gehealthcare.com to find the list of approved disinfectants that can be used on the Vscan product. For example, this cloth can be used to disinfect the Vscan with dual probe cable and device as I'm showing. Building on GE's mission to provide online clinical reference information and support, customers will have access to a web portal that offers reference materials beyond the user manual, including basic applications for the device. This online reference material provides information on how to use the device, as well as examples of Vscan with dual probe in different clinical situations. Additional reference materials may be desired depending on region and usage of the product. This reference material can be accessed using vscan.gehealthcare.com.